Taylor Swift did not just release the news that she has her 12th album coming on the New Heights podcast Instagram page yesterday, but she also dropped a pre-order on her website. And I want to break down the branding psychology behind the scarcity play and the overall branding psychology that is baked into the Taylor Swift brand that ultimately has, in my opinion, led her to create the most influential, impactful brand in history. Whether you love her or hate her, you have got to respect the work that Taylor put into her brand and the long game she played from day one of building out the Taylor Swift universe in a way that would make her legendary and unforgettable. Welcome to episode 2 of Allegedly, the PR Stunt Report podcast. We are seeing every single brand and charity shout out Taylor Swift, celebrate the news of her new brand on their social media accounts, turning their social media accounts into glittery orange and mint. It is incredible to see. And I want to break that down. What went into creating this iconic brand that Taylor moves? Everybody listens. Everyone has something to say, whether good or bad. And how can you ethically use some of those same tactics within your own brand? Because something I say all the time is that you have got to care about branding psychology and marketing psychology in your brand. I love working with new entrepreneurs and new personal brands. And yet, so many think that it's just a matter of showing up and being authentic. You must understand branding psychology to not just stand out, but to stick around. And I think that is ultimately whether someone helped Taylor with it in the beginning or she became obsessed with it and learned it herself. And I'm sure she has a remarkable team around her. Her commitment to understanding psychology in terms of branding has allowed her to build this type of brand, because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily the best person or the smartest person or the best singer that makes it to this level. There has to be an interest and understanding of how do you connect with people? How do you resonate with people? And that's all the psychology that goes into it. I want to say 2 things before we begin today. My goal is a YouTube channel, a podcast, and a community where we are emotionally intelligent and critical thinkers, where we can dive into the tangled web of psychology, media manipulation, branding, and PR without getting reactive because it's maybe your favorite celebrity that we're talking about. It's physiologically and psychologically uncomfortable to have our identities and our beliefs challenged. And sometimes when I speak about a public figure or celebrity like Taylor Swift, who truly is beloved by so many and backed by this truly criticism proof marketing machine that she's built, it can stir up a lot of emotions for people. I'm not saying anything against Taylor Swift. If I'm challenging a tactic, I'm challenging the tactic, not the person. So if you take personal offense to me talking about marketing, branding, or PR of your favorite celebrity, either skip that episode or this channel isn't for you and my brand isn't for you. I truly believe with Taylor Swift, the branding psychology that she uses works so well because it's based on who she is as a person. I genuinely believe she cares about her fans. I believe that she would go above and beyond for people she cares about in her daily life. I also genuinely believe that she cares about the charities that she donates to. And to me, that is why the psychology that she puts into her brand is so good. I believe the gamifying, the Easter eggs is a type of gamifying that she puts into her brand works so well because Taylor's a bit goofy and silly and fun. I really like her personality. And so those games and the gamifying fits who she is. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel clunky. It doesn't feel inauthentic. And so when we're building our own brands, it's critical to find the branding psychology that works for you. Gamifying, as an example, which we'll break down today, don't worry, might not be for your brand, might not be for you. And I do believe that things work so well because they're authentic to her and they've matched the branding psychology with who Taylor is as a person. I do find that her and her brand do walk the line, the tightrope sometimes on branding psychology and maybe the ethics of it. And People will debate that. There's a lot of debate around it. There's actually some articles that have popped up in recent years asking that question and saying, I kind of, fans coming out and speaking, I felt a little bit manipulated by certain things. And the problem, no matter if you're Taylor Swift or a brand just starting out, if people start catching on and if you are abusing your power, with great power comes great responsibility with branding psychology. And if people catch on that maybe you're pushing the bounds of that, it can really backfire. And that is something every brand has to be aware of. All right, with all that said, let's dive into the pre-order and the psychology behind the Swiftie brand. This pre-order, if you go to her website, she has Life of a Showgirl, ships before, you don't even know the date, 10/13/2025. It says this is not the release date, official release date to be announced. So apparently it's either not announced yet or that's what they're going to announce on the New Heights podcast. It says while supplies last, which I find interesting. I do wonder what that means. And if there actually is a countdown somewhere on how many are available, or if it's just a FOMO tactic, if you're missing out. And it says you have the orange glitter vinyl, translucent orange vinyl with gold glitter, and album artwork to be revealed at a later date. And I'm imagining that is also what is going to be revealed on the New Heights podcast. So this pre-sale that's happening, what's the psychology behind that? Number one, when we're looking at the psychology of the Swiftie brand for a move like this, the number one piece is a double stack of a scarcity move. And this is FOMO, essentially. Scarcity stacks are FOMO, fear of missing out. First, you have the chance to order, but it's not the product. You don't even know when it's going to be released. It's not even announced yet what the cover art is. So you have the fear of missing out on the pre-sale. You want to be part of the pre crew, especially if you are a Swiftie, because that becomes, and we're going to talk about this, part of your identity, right? So you're a Swiftie, you're going to want to be part of the pre-sale because then you can talk about it. You've already purchased it and you can celebrate with everyone when the artwork's released. And second, in terms of the double scarcity stack, it's while supplies last. And like I said, I'm hesitant to believe that there is actually an while supplies last piece to this. I mean, Taylor has infinite resources, and I just can't foresee that there is a truly while supplies last. I figure if they had done that, they probably would have put the number that's available on the website. But who knows? Maybe they really did only create so many. Number two, exclusivity illusion. This is a big one used especially with like Gucci, and I'm trying to think of big fashion brands off the top of my head, but those big fashion brands where you can get like the fancy purses and stuff. You can tell that I don't care about fashion. But it's the first thing that came to mind right now, where they'll have a limited edition of something, a limited edition amount of purses, for example, in the one that they just created. Exclusivity is huge and it drives purchasing behaviors. And you're going to see a lot, typically higher conversion when you have that exclusivity piece baked in. So it feels like you are in the inner circle and can even attach your identity to being a part of the pre-sale. And also that fear of missing out. And people like being exclusive. It feels like a super fan, right? Number three is gamification. Taylor Swift is the master of gamification in her brand. I would say that with hype are two of the biggest psychological drivers within her brand. The buying process itself feels like unlocking levels in a game. It turns spending money into feeling fun and participatory. And it blurs the line between entertainment and purchase. So fans forget they're engaging in a sales funnel and they just want the album combined with the FOMO, combined with the exclusivity. And you've got a recipe for people running as fast as they can, credit card in hand, to your website to purchase the pre-order. And you have a recipe with these three pieces of as soon as a song drops, everyone is going to stream it. If a brand overuses this, especially one with the supply chain that Taylor Swift has, it can start to feel manipulative. And even some of the criticism I've seen on Google and online is people starting to push back about all of the different variants of albums. And you'll get some people that will say, well, she's not forcing you to buy them. Yes and no. Taylor isn't saying you have to buy that 35th variant of my album. However, when you actually genuinely understand the branding psychology that's baked into her brand, you don't realize that subconsciously there is such a pull to purchase that it does blur the line on, is it your choice or is it a part of the identity and part of the branding psychology that's been created throughout the brand? When it says limited supplies, how many is that? If they say limited supplies without a number saying 1,000 available, well, it just drives that FOMO even more. And you will see while supplies last used in a way that is meant to drive FOMO very often. People will say only 5 spots available or only 1,000 available, when the reality is there's unlimited available behind the scenes, or there's 10 or 15 available behind the scenes. But the whole point is to drive FOMO and to get people to take action fast in the moment. So if you're using that within your own brand, use it sparingly. People can lose trust over time if it's not done right. The 4 psychological levers that she uses overall in her brand. Now, she uses a lot. She uses a lot. Like I said, she is one of the most psychologically rich and locked in brands probably in history. However, the 4 main psychological levers I would say that she leverages, which also are included within this marketing, but we want to keep in mind these psychological levers also set the stage for people being primed to buy when something like this drops. You want to prime people to buy so that they're ready to go, where you can release something like that and they move, where you can release that or announce that you bought back your masters and everyone is streaming right away. You can release through just a reel that you have a new album coming out and everyone's rushing to your website to pre-order it. This sets the stage. You want to make sure you're setting the stage, and she does it really well. 1, she's gamified loyalty. Easter eggs, secret drops, cryptic announcements. It creates games and hunts that fans can feel proud of. And that's also a dopamine hit. Tactics like pre-order then feel more like being in it with everyone. It's an exciting journey you're going on. Are you the first one to purchase? And then can you celebrate that on X or on social media later when she announces the cover art and you say, I already got my version. I already got it. I already purchased it. It goes into that culture and the community that she's built as well. People identify as Swifties. That literally becomes an identity within them. 2, she does this very well. Direct address marketing. Her copywriting is rich with we, you guys. I wanted you to have this first. There's so many examples of this. It creates the feeling of a gift from a friend, and truly a friend, rather than a corporate upsell. She does this very, very well. Her copywriting is locked in. 3, operant conditioning. Yes. Easter eggs equal dopamine rewards. Fans learn that paying attention leads to a payoff. Buying early becomes part of the game. It's your reward for guessing right. And other brands do this as well, like loyalty programs are also operant conditioning. You buy more, you get a reward. And it's hitting on dopamine. I made a joke earlier today that as an ADHDer, this is a big one that works on me because I'm always seeking dopamine as an ADHDer. But operant conditioning is a very strong tool that's used in branding and marketing. So again, those Easter eggs would be, I would say, her biggest example. But she has all kinds of clues that she bakes into her brands, which essentially trains her audience, conditions her audience, psychologically conditions her audience to constantly be seeking out those clues. She rewards them because you guess and it turns out you were right, and it turns out you guessed the colors or the new album or the date of the release or whatever it is. But it's a dopamine feedback loop within the brand because you guess it right and then you want to keep hunting. And a part of this as well, operant conditioning, is the IKEA effect in branding psychology. The IKEA effect essentially says if your community feels included in building something, they're more likely to purchase it. So if you have built into your brand this operant conditioning of all these Easter eggs, all these secret clues, and everyone's paying attention to every move, and her her necklace and the color of her nails and her outfits and the letters behind her on stage or something, everything, the color of a door on her stage. If everyone is paying attention to everything, they feel like they're building that next era with her. You feel like you're in it with her. And the IKEA effect essentially says that people that feel they are building it with you are more likely to buy. So you're going to see a higher conversion on a brand like Taylor Swift's, where people feel that they are truly building out or guessing the next era, where they are involved in the next era. Number 4, identity fusion. This is a psychological state where a consumer deeply identifies with a brand, blurring the lines between their personal identity and their relationship with the brand. This intense connection can lead to strong loyalty, advocacy, and even willingness to defend the brand during challenging times. One of the things I've said consistently, people will ask, why doesn't Taylor Swift make a statement? Why doesn't she say something? She doesn't have to. She has built the brand to a point where the Swifties have such strong loyalty and advocacy for her and willingness to defend her and the brand that she does not have to say anything. And I do believe the identity fusion sometimes crosses the line. I've seen some perceived enemies of Taylor, like poor Joe Alwyn, just get shredded online. And I genuinely do not think that's okay. That crosses a line. And that does go into the psychology of the brand with identity fusion, and also why she likely doesn't say anything and tell people to back off and to stop doing that. And this is also where that fear came in with Justin Baldoni and Wayfair, when they had a legitimate concern that Blake Lively may like activate the Swifties against him, because there is quite literally almost that sleeper cell agent ability within the Swifties due to that identity fusion. And this isn't just Swifties. Beyonce's communities like that. I mean, you see it all over the internet. These fandoms, it's very similar to sports fandoms, where you see someone's sports team loses a game and all of a sudden there's fights outside, and even if someone wins the Super Bowl or something, and all of a sudden they're like burning down the city. It's that same type of mentality that builds these almost fanatical sports teams that it does with these massive names within the music industry as well. She also has these microculture engines, which are psychological lock-ins. So there's literally layers to the psychology that Taylor uses within her brand. Some are just better at it than others. She is just exceptional at it. With Taylor, we could go on all day with her brand vocabulary, but a couple examples: eras, Taylor's version, Easter eggs. Pretty sure she's basically coined that. Swiftie, friendship bracelets, the snake visuals, 1989. I mean, we could go all day long listing the vocabulary that she has built within the Swift universe. Again, same culture as gaming fans or sports fans, with the same potential for us versus them. Shared language is going to bond groups very quickly, and strong bonds are built. Another example of this is Emily D. Baker. Big fan of Emily. She has incredible brand vocabulary as well. She calls her community the law nerds, and their pets are the paw nerds. And she has built up such a rich brand vocabulary, and there's a shared language that really only the group understands. It's the same vein as what Taylor does with the Taylor universe. The more entrenched you are in it, it becomes a badge of honor because you understand the mythology and the shared language and the history that got you to where you are. Number 2, rituals that create belonging. In You're On Your Own Kid, she says, so make the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it. And then I've seen videos of her talking about how excited she was that the Swifties came up with the idea of friendship bracelets. But she actually came up with the idea, and she planted the seed, knowing and trusting that someone would grab onto it and create the friendship bracelets. She gave that credit back to the fans, showed out the fans for that. It was very smart. And it creates more of a sense of belonging. So even at the Eras Tour, you were building friendships with other community members, other Swifties, which was building that loyalty to Taylor Swift and the brand itself even stronger, if it was even possible. But friendship bracelets are a massive win in terms of branding psychology and creating that belonging within the brand. She is also, from a branding psychology perspective, the every woman. And belonging is a core pillar within an every woman brand. So having the friendship bracelets was such a smart idea. 3, self-perpetuating marketing. Fans become the walking advertisements and fuel virality of the brand without her having to do anything. That's why you don't really see Taylor much these days in terms of marketing her own brand, because now the Swifties do it for her. Friendship bracelets, these guessing clues 24/7, 365 days a year. You have X or any social media platform constantly seeking out these clues and keeping her name trending, regardless of what she is doing herself. And this creates an emotional insurance as well against criticism. If you belong to something that feels like a family, you'll defend it like it's a family, even when you may see the flaws within it. So she has this built-in loyalty firewall within her brand. She doesn't have to defend herself or say anything. The community does, which again is why Justin's team was so nervous of Blake Lively leveraging Taylor Swift and the Swifties against him. One thing I want to touch on, which is in that vein of Justin Baldoni. Why is pointing this out or going against the Swifties so dangerous? Like I said, I can say the smallest criticism against Taylor and people freak out. I can say something nice about Taylor and Swifties freak out, still tell me I don't understand what's going on. For so many fans, especially the ones that are really at the center of a brand like this, and again, it's not just strictly Taylor, you're touching something deeply tied to their own identity if you say something that they perceive is negative against the brand or person themselves. And it feels as if someone, if they say something, what they perceive to be bad about Taylor, it feels like truly a personal attack against the individual. And I've seen this in action in my DMs. I criticized one thing after just singing Taylor's praises for years in branding and marketing. I criticized one thing and I had people in my DMs freaking out saying, I don't understand about the impact she's had on their life. I don't understand about the impact she has on other people, how she's the only one that's understood them. She sees them. They see themselves in her story. No one else has spoken about the same things they've been through. That's the point of her brand. The branding has been created to touch that kind of level of identity and community and feeling seen. Over years of consistent storytelling, vulnerability done well, and community building, Taylor has become more than a celebrity. She's a symbol of safety, belonging, and self-expression. And again, that goes perfectly within the branding psychology of the Every Woman brand. She has nailed the branding psychology of the Every Woman brand. And she continuously nails it. Her shifts that she made in 2025 really recentered her within that. Because I do think there was a shift getting away from it a little bit. And you don't want that shift to happen at the same time as you have someone like Blake Lively getting your name attached to them in headlines. She has done a great job of recentering in her brand and coming back to what matters most. And within that, again, with such a psychologically driven brand, the fans, the diehard fans, the Swifties, see it as a personal attack against them if anything is said about Taylor. It genuinely registers as you're attacking the person who understands me, who sees me, and has been with me through the hardest moments. And in that moment, you, the person criticizing, whether it's a journalist, the streamer, whatever, your best friend, I've seen TikToks on people saying, my best friend of 25 years said it doesn't like Taylor and said something rude about Taylor, and now I won't talk to them. That is bananas to me. But it's also, it makes sense within the branding. So in that moment, whether it's your best friend or a journalist or a streamer that says something against Taylor that you don't like, or Justin Baldoni, right, says something against Taylor that you perceive as bad, that person becomes the out group. And remember what I said, her brand has been built on us versus them. You are now someone who doesn't get it. You are, in their eyes, undermining not just Taylor, but their own personal story. And that's why the backlash with the Swifties can be so intense. You're not just threatening her brand, you're threatening a core part of someone's self-concept. And that's a survival level trigger in the brain. People will fight to defend it because it feels like they're defending themselves, because in many ways they are. One of the things I've said continuously with leveraging branding psychology in your brand is with great power comes great responsibility. We simply have to be aware of the power that we each yield by building brands based on these concepts, because gamifying isn't inherently bad. FOMO isn't inherently bad. People love to buy. They just don't like being sold to. And that's another thing I tell my clients all the time. People love to buy. They just don't like being sold to. When you build a brand like Taylor Swift's brand, it never feels like you're being sold to. It feels like your bestie is offering you something and you're like, hell yeah, bestie, I want to buy it, because of the brand she's built. She has been a genius at building a brand where it never feels like marketing. It never feels like PR. It never feels like you're being sold to. It's you're being rewarded. You're being seen. And she's giving you exactly what you want. Now, how do you tap into this in ethical ways? One, I love gamifying. Going too heavy into it in my brand doesn't really fit with the rebel outlaw brand archetype, but gamifying is a lot of fun, and I'm kind of a dork, so I do gamify in many ways. But one, you can gamify engagement without trapping. Don't trap people. It's very easy to trap people within these. I'm sure you can imagine. Easter eggs, hidden clues, layered rollouts. Gamifying as a core pillar of Taylor's brand is an exceptional sales psychology tool. Simply be aware of the power it holds and don't abuse it. And I mentioned it earlier, and coaching spaces mystery offers became popular a few years ago and are often abused. And what happens within a mystery offer is you double stack that FOMO. You create layers of FOMO and you have this mystery offer. You don't know the name. You don't know the graphics for it or the art for it. You don't know what's really included, which is the same, essentially what Taylor's created is a mystery offer, essentially, but in music. You don't know the song list. You don't know what's in it for the course. You really know nothing. And it's double stacked with scarcity, because how it works within the coaching industry is it's not limited amounts available or while supplies last. You have 24 hours typically, and then the price jumps. And then 24 hours later after that, the price jumps. Every time something's released in regards to that offer, the price goes up. So you're double stacking FOMO and scarcity on multiple levels. And that works very well, but really came under fire in terms of, is it ethical to be doing that to people? I think there's some ways you could gamify it in a really fun way, but they're very easily abused. 2, build brand vocabulary that empowers. Create language that helps your community navigate their own growth and success and makes them a part of the journey. For example, Emily D. Baker, law nerds, paw nerds. And there's so much you could say for Emily D. Baker and her brand vocabulary, but those are the 2 pillars. Name your core concepts, milestones, and your community, and give the community ownership as well. Bring them into it. The IKEA effect, have them build it with you. Number 3, instead of a pre-sale, which again tends to show up in those mystery offers, use a wait list to gauge interest. Start building your wait list. If you have a launch coming up, the pre stage can be building that wait list out, and maybe even having it where people on the wait list will get a special discount code when the offer is officially announced. 4, hype marketing. This is the glue that binds Taylor's brand together. You can do long form teasing. So that's an anticipation loop. Taylor is basically built into her brand a 24/7, 365 anticipation loop, because every day of every year, people are searching for clues. So this long form teasing, the anticipation loop, is the core of Taylor's brand. And what people are realizing now is that she had been teasing this album being dropped on August 12th for some time. So it also rewards you for constantly being in that anticipation loop. And just want to take a step back. When a lot of people were saying they were disappointed that there seemed to be clues for Reputation Reputation Taylor's version, and then it never happened. This is why they were disappointed. And some people were saying, on the other side of it, well, she never said it was 100%. You were looking for clues where there weren't any. Yeah, but she's built a brand where you're in an anticipation loop constantly and you're constantly searching for clues because you are so often rewarded, more often than not, rewarded for guessing right, that it is not a fan's fault for getting excited about an album that never actually dropped or seeing clues where allegedly there were none. I do think that she had originally planned on recording it, but that's my own theory. We won't even go there here. But she does keep you in that 24/7 anticipation loop. You can then do so you're going from long form teasing to multi-layered rollouts. And the multi-layered rollouts can be announcement, teaser, first wave of products, special edition, extra surprise drop. So that can be kind of your multi-layered rollout. And participation-driven excitement as well within that. An opportunity for ethical use that I just want to highlight for you with hype marketing because it's very effective. Give your audience real value during the lead up, whether it's free content, genuinely helpful tips, behind the scenes stories, but give real value. Number 2, make sure the reveal matches the promise. No bait and switch. And 3, encourage participation that feels fun, not exhausting or pressured. So again, all of this has come together to create the type of brand where she even just puts out a 1-minute reel. I think it's probably under a minute, announcing her album, and everybody in the world is listening. Every business and brand is out there shouting her out with their own marketing campaign right now. Everything is in orange and mint green. And you can include it in your brand in an ethical way because you need to understand branding and marketing psychology if you ever want to be seen. Those that understand it are the ones that you're purchasing from, are the ones that you're seeing and you're clicking and you're liking. Those that don't understand it are the ones that often, no matter how great their knowledge, how magnetic they are, never stick around in their industry. And if you would like help nailing your marketing and maybe including some of this in yours, I do have brand reboot sessions. It's 2-hour sessions within the brand reboot. And within those, we focus on one core problem that you're looking to work on. So if this is something you would like to include in your brand, I would recommend for this type of problem to fix in the brand reboot is you have an existing brand that is generating income. Because you can't layer this on top if you don't know your niche, you don't know the problem you solve, and you have no directionality in your brand. But if you do have those things and you're looking to layer this on top, whether you are a YouTube streamer, a podcaster, a personal brand, let me know. Shoot me an email at support@ashleybriannaeve.com, and I would love to look at how I can support you with that. And with that, my friends, I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of Allegedly, the PR Stunt Report podcast, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, my friends.